In this episode of Film Stock Reviews, I'm reviewing Die Hard 2 or Die Hard 2 Die Harder. The events of this movie take place 2 years after the events of the first film, and this takes place on Christmas Eve 1989 in Washington, D.C. Now, McClane waits for his wife at Washington Dulles International Airport, but he has to save the day once again as mercenaries led by Colonel Stewart, played by William Sadler, who is really, really convincing as a villain in this, kind of is there to overtake the airport and the communication systems because he wants to intercept one of the planes that is carrying Latin American dictator Esperanza, played by acclaimed actor Franco Nero. Now, not only that, McClane discovers a plan of what's going on, and he has to stop what's happening. And he also has to stop a other aspect of an army counter-terrorist unit played by John Amos, Major Grant, because Major Grant now, forms an alliance with Colonel Stewart. Now, the aspect of this is that this is a Christmas movie. It takes place once again during the Christmas season. Now, the tagline for this movie is Die Harder. It's not Die Hard 2, Die Harder. So people kind of get the aspect of understanding what this movie is and, different aspects of how it's happening. Bonnie Bedelia does return as his wife, Holly Gennaro McClane, and her character is kind of in the air, and is stuck on an airplane that's circling the runway. Now, John McClane is really doing his thing at this airport. And the action, I want to say, is kind of reminiscent of the very first movie, but with a different twist. This movie is directed by Rennie Harlin, and the screenplay is by Stephen E. D'Souza and Doug Richardson. Stephen E. D'Souza has written a lot of interesting movies, and before this, you might know him for writing Commando, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, how can you make this movie on par or a little bit better than the first movie? Well, you kind of, one up the action. The action is one up. It's more so interesting because Dennis Franz is Captain Carmine Lorenzo in this, and not only that, we have aspects of certain things where Reginald Vale Johnson returns as Sergeant Al Powell from the first movie, and it's just fun. But I feel like the villain in this, William Sadler as Colonel Stewart, wasn't as threatening or interesting as Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber was in the very first film. Now you add John Amos as Major Grant, that ups the ante. Because in every single movie of whatever Die Hard movie you watch, of all the 5 movies that have been released, John McClane is always going up against a big brute guy. And in this one, it's Major Grant. The fight scene is great on the wing of the airplane and how he kind of outsmarts the bad guys in a way, in his own way. And the way things are done, it's like, okay, how can you do a great action scene and do certain things? Well, at the end, he kind of releases the fuselage or the fuel from the airplane. There leaves a trail going up. Esperanza is taking off with Colonel Stewart in there. And then John McClane lights a lighter, or his Zippo lighter, I believe, throws it down. He's like, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." And it just blows up. The interesting thing about this is that if you watch the TV version of it, it says, "Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon." Like, it's so interesting how you watch the R-rated version and you watch the TV version. It's 100 times more different than it is. The movie was released July 4th, 1990. For this being a Christmas movie, it was released in July. Now, the first film was released in July as well, but this film is 124 minutes long, so 2 hours and 4 minutes. It had a budget of $62 to $70 million, and it grossed $240 million at the box office. So a semi-par hit like the first film, but much more up with the action. I want to say there's a lot more gunfire in it, and there's more, less of dialogue and more interesting aspects of how John McClane gets through the people in the airport. I mean, having this just set at an airport, very much different than being set at Nakatomi Plaza or a building for that matter. This was fun, but it just didn't capture that essence of the first movie. And this is, yes, Die Hard 2 is also a Christmas movie, if anyone wants to argue that. For me, Die Hard 2 gets 4 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Die Hard 2. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you like about the action? Do you think that Colonel Stewart, William Sadler, was a good villain for John McClane? Did you like that Esperanza was also a villain and Major Grant was there? So 3 villains going up against John McClane. Or did you like, the aspect of the first movie better than this one? And do you think this is a Christmas movie? And what was your least favorite part in it? And what was your favorite part in this movie? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. And let me know what rating you would give Die Hard 2. And I'll see you all in the next review video. And thank you for tuning in.